Yeah.
Mm-hmm. These situationships, my lord,
Situationships.
my lord, how the grandmas used to say at church,
Yes, and my
my
word.
lord.
My word. Go ahead, Pastor.
Go ahead, testify.
Oh, I love when the little kids used to get up and the black grandmas would be like, go ahead, Sheila. Take your time, Tisha.
Take it.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Let him use you. That was another
Yes,
one.
yeah, true. I saw a black comedian talk about how his cousin sang Mystical at his grandpa's funeral.
And they were saying, let him use you?
Yeah, because before he started, he's like, Grandpa loved this song. And he started doing like this. Like, babe, take your time, let him use you. He's like, been so long.
Oh my God.
It was great because towards the end of like the clip, the crowd starts singing with him, because they know that Mystical, obviously, that Mystical song.
Crazy.
The nigga right here. He's like, this nigga's not singing Mystical.
Yes, he is. He's letting the Lord use him.
He's like, this is Grandpa's favorite song.
Because when the spirit is in the building.
So he could do it in 24. He could turn it around for you.
But let's get back to these situationships.
Situationships.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing for me is that situationships abound. Everyone's been in some type of situationship.
Facts.
Especially in your 20s. And I believe the reason why people in the 30s and 40s there is because of the convenience of sex and the convenience of companionship. Many times relationships demand something more out of you. Companionship, it can be steady state and neutral, and you can get the benefits of quote unquote what a relationship is at a discounted price. So situationships become enticing to most people. But my takeaway in talking about situationships is if you focus more on connecting and less on physical intimacy, most of the problematic, toxic issues you're encountering in situationships would disappear. And that's something I don't think people like to talk about because the convenience of situationships. But the drama, the arguing, the fighting, the yelling, that when I do this, you do that. When you do that, I do this, would all just disappear, be gone. If you would just say, I'm prioritizing compatibility over chemistry. No, we're not going to be physically intimate. No, you're not going to waste my time. No, we're not just going to go out and then you can go home and we could hook up here or hook up there. We're actually going to spend time getting to know each other, and we're going to take our time, and we are going to seal that with the fact that we're going to hold off on being physically intimate. And I think a lot of people have a problem with that because they ultimately think that if I lead with the chemistry, I lead with the physical part, somehow that's going to attract a person to me. And a lot of times women are accused that they're leading with the physical to attract a man. But there's plenty of times I've seen men, and this is not an accusation against men or women because I'm talking about both. Men will talk about their bedroom game as if that's going to keep a woman. But I heard my cousin say it best. He's like, when I was a bodybuilder, lifting crazy weight, bench pressing 400 pounds, I got dumped. When I lost my bodybuilding physique and gained weight, I got dumped. Because the simple rule is this. If a woman doesn't want to be with you anymore, she doesn't want to be with you anymore. She's going to drop you. Women, I know this is contrary to popular belief on the internet. If a woman doesn't want to be with a millionaire or billionaire, she'll drop him. If she doesn't want to be with a sanitation worker, she'll drop him. And so I think at the end of the day, you as a man thinking your bedroom game is going to entice her to stay, that may have an effect for maybe 6 months to 24 months. After a while.
That's a long period of time.
It is, but it's not as long as some guys think. Because
literally. It's not as long as you think.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, you ain't putting nothing on the bills. You're not contributing. You're not taking out the garbage. You're not, taking the dog for a walk. You're not picking up the pee pads in the morning, leaving the pee pads at night for the dog. So while we sleep, she doesn't wake us up. All of the above. You're not doing any of that. Guess what? Goodbye.
Right. Bing, bing.
Yeah. Bing, bing.
Here's my stop.
Here's my stop on the trolley. You have a good night. I don't know if you know this.
Good night.
There's been a bunch of murders in this neighborhood. I don't care. Let me
I'll take my chances.
So I think most people don't have the guts to stick to their guns about protecting themselves by not engaging in physical intimacy. They'll say, no, it's completely all right. I'm fine. And then 5, 6 months, a year later, here comes the drama. Here come the tears. Here come the issues. And again, those issues would not last if you would not be in a situationship. And again, I have to say this, compatibility over chemistry. See how much you can put the chemistry out for while you really build the infrastructure of compatibility with that person, you're building with.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, man, that's a tough one coming out the gate. You came out with both guns blazing.
So your gun, my guns blazing while your guns raising.
Bro, you came out with both of them like Speedy Gonzalez on them.
Forgot about Speedy. Better than Pepe Le Pew.
But Joe, sir, I mean, I feel like since we're talking about situationships, I feel like you kind of changed the rules because that's exactly what a situationship is. Now, when we said we were going to talk about this, we said we were going to talk about it from the standpoint of when it's time to walk away, right?
Yeah.
So I think
I'm saying don't even bother.
But I don't know if okay, that's a take. You feel that way. You feel like if people did not. So basically, you're saying a situationship, even if that was somebody's pathway to a long-term committed relationship, they still shouldn't even do it.
It may be. I think some people end up in that, just like some people play the lotto and they make a lot of money. That's great. You could earn a lot of money that way. Some people will hit the stock market and invest, but there's some tried and true methods of making your money double and work for you. Investing in an index fund, that's obviously a go-to. Starting a business, buying into a business, investing. There's all these tried and true methods in order to get rich. It's tried and true methods in order to arriving at a partner that actually is compatible with you and is actually interested in commitment with you. And that ends up being a major problem when we talk about modern relationships or companionship or even better situationships, because people just get in these revolving door situationships, look up, it's been 5 years, it's been 8 years, and say, why am I still stuck here, not in love, not married, not with children? And I'm saying, look at how you're conducting yourself and the decisions you're making with these quote unquote potential partners.
Yeah, no doubt. But to your point about tried and true methods, how many people do you know who waited until they got married that are still married?
How many people? So no premarital sex.
Yeah.
Between them. I mean, they might have had sex before, but those people who held it down together.
Or at all. How many people do you know that's practiced that in life and is in a healthy, thriving relationship?
None.
So I think it's hard to say if you don't focus on, well, no. Let me say, I double down and agree with you. Chemistry should not be the focus.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's going to be part of the relationship building process. Now, to your point, if you're investing all of this time into this situationship, that's what you're building your relationship on. And I think that's what people aren't honest about. They're not honest that like, yo, I know what we have is chemistry. We don't really have a lot of compatibility, but because the chemistry is so strong, I'm willing to fork a little bit. I'm willing to flake a little bit on the importance of building on compatibility because I just like what's happening physically. I think a lot of people aren't honest about that, but taking it off the table altogether, I don't know, fam. That's a total.
But here's my thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't take it off the table, a lot of people are, again, using that analogy in these revolving doors. Not analogy, it's metaphor, right? The revolving door metaphor, right? You're in this revolving door, and you, every time an opportunity comes out to get out, you just keep pushing the revolving door. You're not going back outside and you're not going into the building. What are you doing here? Then you're wondering, well, how come I can't get outside or get in the building? You set up this whole entire environment as if you're trapped or you're in a prison. And you're not in a prison. There are no armed guards and razor wire and barbed wire and canine dogs and wardens telling you to go when to go to sleep. You're not in a prison. You're not trapped. You don't need the jaws of life to come and pry you out of a cramped car. You are just in a revolving door by choice. And you have to make a choice to get out of that, to go back outside into the dating field or to go into the building, move into a situation that's more secure with that person. Many people are not doing that. And I see chemistry as one of the major issues to that, because people just lead and get blinded by chemistry. And more importantly, I don't think it's the quality of the chemistry or the quality of the physical intimacy. I think it's the convenience of it. The convenience of the chemistry is what seduces people more so than the quality of it.
And I think what I'm saying is we're physical creatures. It's always going to be like that. There's never going to be a time when you like somebody, want to build with somebody that you also don't want to rip their clothes off. So I don't know if taking that completely off of the table is going to create a better outcome with this long-term situation that somebody might desire. I do think, because we said we were going to talk about this from a place of when it's time to walk away from it. If you're at a point in life, damn, bro, I got to address this in two different ways.
Come on.
I got to address this in two different ways. So obviously I have female family members. I got a younger sister, got an older sister. If I ever saw them at a place in their life where I knew they desired more, but they were settling for the chemistry, I would be like, yo, it's time to let that go. To your point about in the last episode, we talked about you see a level of immaturity that men exercise. I see the same in people when it comes to this very thing that you're talking about, right? We're talking about not having the maturity to forego or bypass the chemistry and the physical connection. And you know that it will be, even if you haven't engaged in it yet, the little taste that you get when you're around that person, when your man is standing up at attention just by the way she smells, or then, you know, the thighs is leaking because of the way he held the door for you or how masculine he was, like, your son, is hard to turn that off. And I think I want to double down because I think there's nuance to what you're saying. Like, it really should not be the focus or the foundation that is built on.
That's all I'm saying. Yep.
Yeah. But I think it's definitely going to be some of the mortar between the bricks. It's propping up some of these pillars and layers. Son, it's holding up a lot.
Said that terrace don't hold together with, super glue.
That Gorilla Glue ain't holding this thing up. But, I think I would take this a step further. And I would say, there can be times when the sex is fire, but everything else is ashes.
Say that again, please.
where the sex is fire, but everything else is burning in the ashes. And I think this is kind of what we're talking about when people prioritize the chemistry and the physical more than anything else. And they say, man, if the sex is this good, they must love me, or it must be that we have this really deep connection. And it's like, no, you may just really have good sex and good chemistry. And sometimes, like you're saying, that could be a stumbling block when you're talking about really building, when you really want to be with somebody. If you don't have the maturity to kind of assess the importance that sex should have in a relationship. Nobody's saying that you can't have it, you shouldn't have it. We're not demonizing it, but it is being able to properly contextualize it in the larger picture of a relationship. And this is where I feel like a lot of people miss their bing bing. Let me get off.
Yeah,
in a relationship.
Trolley of nonsense. Get off the trolley of nonsense.
Because, like you said, they're telling themselves they're trapped. Like, I've heard chicks say, "Good dick is a prison."
Yeah,
I've heard dudes say, "Damn, not a pussy, just too good." Like, come on, son. If a millionaire, and I mean he said this when he wasn't a millionaire, but if Snoop Dogg could be like, "It ain't no box good enough to get burnt while I'm up in it,"
yeah,
you can definitely say no. You can definitely put in perspective how important the sex is to you or the quality of it. No, I saw a clip earlier with this pastor, and it's actually so funny. He went to college with my brother, but a lot of his clips have been going viral lately. And he was talking about, yo, when you're thinking about heaven and hell, ain't no dick good enough to burn for it in eternity. It ain't nobody's stroke game that good.
Yeah.
But, I'm not trying to push that or impose that on anybody. But I think the message is kind of the same. You have to be able to properly prioritize where sex falls in order of importance. And I don't think it's one of those foundational things that you can really build on.
So you're saying that sex essentially is vital, it's significant, but it shouldn't be the main thing in the beginning of forming what you want to be is a deep, close, emotionally intimate connection or relationship.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And that allows me to rethink, or at least think more about my position, and to think about it from a different perspective, or looking at a diamond, looking at it from multiple facets. Because I think the challenge is going to be, many people, again, as I mentioned before, don't want to come off of it for a variety of reasons that I've already highlighted. In addition to the fact that I also believe some people become enthralled, or I don't want to say addicted, but enthralled by the drama. There's the push and the pull. There is, for some people,
Mm,
the familiarity,
mm,
rejection. People become familiar with rejection because if you were in a childhood or childhood home, or a situation as a young adult where you saw rejection bumped up or put in conversation with affection, then you are now skating between affection and rejection. And then once that becomes a familiar groove to you, right, a familiar ice to skate on, it becomes harder for you to move into, well, I know there's a different place I can skate where it'll be all affection. The ice is great, the weather is great, the people are great, and we all have a wonderful time. It becomes harder to do that. And what happens is, I believe people then start to build assumptions, and they build this idea that, okay, well, if I stay in this rejection acceptance, rejection of affection spot, I'll be okay. But then you start to see you're expecting more out of him, and he's giving you less. You're expecting more out of this person, and they're giving you less and less. So before you were comfortable with the medium of rejection and affection, that ratio, you start getting less affection, more rejection. And what's happening, you become a product someone's consuming. They're comfortable consuming you because they have you at a discount. You're not even getting what you thought before was adequate because the ratio's off now.
mm.
And now there's an issue. Now opens the door to trauma, drama, back and forth. You saying you're not speaking to that person, then you get the, WID text at 2 a.m, you off in the Uber in the middle of Crackton,
Facts.
putting your life in danger so you can go up in someone's apartment with the rickety mattress to have fun.
To get your back blown out.
Yeah, to get your back blown out.
And it's fun and it's great, but like you said, it will keep you in that rejection. What'd you call it?
Rejection, affection. Yeah, right.
Affection
Some people are
dynamic.
used to, yeah, right. The ways in which, and you'll see this in this video that we've discussed before here, Why You're Going to Marry the Wrong Person. A philosopher in the UK talked for about 20 minutes in a lecture style about why you marry the wrong person. And one of the things he said is that many of us have learned about love in the context of pain. And that
Mm-hmm.
becomes a cycle. Love, affection, pain. Love, affection, pain. And because we're accustomed to that cycle, we then look to reproduce that cycle when we pick our partners. And many of us marry the wrong person because we're trying to reproduce that cycle. And he gave a perfect example. Some people will meet somebody who's great on paper, and actually, when you get to know them, they're a cool person to get to know, and they're actually a great person to actually potentially explore building life with. What do you say? What do people say? This is men and women. Oh, they're boring. No, I don't think so. I'm not feeling it. Then they
It's
go
not
down
exciting.
that night or that weekend. Exactly. They go to the club, they meet somebody, and here we go. They're caught in the cycle of affection and rejection, pain and love, and they stay in that relationship for as long as they're getting that itch scratched.
Yo, can I jump in here, bro? Because
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of dudes say that women like the chaos, but I've seen a lot of dudes that like that too.
of course.
I mean, I've heard men literally say this verbatim. I like the crazy Latina. I like the black chick that'll come and key your car up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yo, since when did chaos, things going crazy, running amok, like since when did that become sexy?
Mm-hmm.
Even as a kid, bro, when things got loud in the house, I went somewhere quiet.
Yeah, seriously. My parents used to argue, but yo, this is ridiculous. I was just
For the
talking to
birds.
my partner about that.
For the birds.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and it gets awkward, and then you're in the middle of that, and then sometimes they coming in the room. I'm just letting you know right now. Don't let me know.
Don't let me
nothing.
know anything, please. I don't want to know anything.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
that between y'all. That's why y'all are adults and I'm the child. Let me just go in here, play with my Sega Genesis,
Yeah,
and
I
keep it
don't need
pushing.
it.
Let
I
me
don't
do my
need it.
homework,
Yeah,
get on this honor roll,
Yeah, exactly. Because so I can get the Super
so I
Nintendo
can
that
get the
you
Super
promised.
Nintendo, that Xbox that you promised.
Yeah. So don't drag me into your drama. And yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
But
And
yeah,
there's some-
So yeah, I was gonna say some dudes just like the drama and the chaos also. But I think it's to what you were saying, bro. A lot of us don't really have healthy examples of how love is supposed to be. And a lot of us do end up marrying the wrong person. Now, I think I've seen a lot of people who 10 years in will say, yo, I feel like I married the wrong person. I
Mhm.
know people who are 20 years in who would be like, I thought that 10 years in. I hear people 30 years in be like, yeah, everybody says that. So it seems like that's a constant. At some point on the timeline of relationships, you're gonna feel like I made a mistake. This is not what I signed up for. This
Mhm.
person is a stranger. And that obviously speaks to people's continual evolution and growth. Who you met at the club that night, who was super slick and suave and smooth when they came up to you and got your number and got that drink for you, yo, they may be different after 10 years of trying to start a business that never pops off. Yo, their personality, their persona, their countenance to people, it might be a little bit more acerbic if they've let, you know, that failure get to them, change their mind about how they see themselves. Or if, you're a woman and you find out that you can't bear children, or, you know what I mean? Like, that might
Yeah.
change how you respond and interact with people.
Yeah, real life happens.
So, I think in the tandem of people changing and then not having those healthy examples, yo, a lot of us are comfortable with one situationships and more importantly, that rejection affection dynamic. Like
Mhm.
as long as there's that pull and tug and pull, we feel like the love is real.
Yeah,
If
that's true.
it's flatline in some kind of way, we don't really understand it. It's the up and down and the peaks and valleys that make us feel like love is alive and it's real. And sometimes categorizing it like that, that's what keeps you in these situationships.
Yeah. But I love what you said there too, which is really about evolution, the growth of everybody's or the experience of everyone's growth in a relationship. It starts off great, it goes bad, it goes worse, it hits a dip, as Seth Godin would say in his book, The Dip. And then after the dip, it goes up and it becomes something else. It becomes more positive, it becomes reinforced, it becomes stronger, it becomes durable, it has long lasting impact. And a lot of us don't really talk about relationships from the standpoint of the dip. Now, we're here talking about situationships, but I believe situationships are tied to dips for the simple fact you have to discern whether your situationship that's gone bad is in a dip or if your situation ship that's gone bad is a waste of your time. And we can't discern that for you. No one can except for you. This is why I say don't bother with situationships in the first place, because to me there's tried and true methods of getting to love, tried and true methods of getting to marriage, tried and true methods of getting to commitment. And a lot of it, in my opinion, doesn't lead, a lot of it, in my opinion, is just a better way of moving forward than what I currently see happening in the modern dating world, where people just seem to be connecting due to the fact that what happens is a dynamic where, again, going back to rejection and affection, one person ends up having a lot more power and the other person is becoming the follower or the person who is subjugating or submitting themselves to that power. And this can happen with the man or the woman. This is, in this case, gender neutral. This is between two people, essentially. And they start leaving these breadcrumbs, and you start trying to pick up their breadcrumbs, thinking that you're actually getting signals they are trying to engage with you and build a life with you. In reality, those breadcrumbs are only there to keep you where they want you, to manipulate you and keep you having coming back because they want to use you. And again, situationships create their problems. Go back to my comparison with getting rich. You can get rich off the lotto. People have figured out systems to get rich in game shows and make a couple bucks. But then there's tried and true methods that everyone does. Now, you challenge me by saying, do you know anybody who's married who didn't engage in premarital sex in a healthy marriage? And I don't know. I had to be honest. I don't know, but I do know that works. So I will take it a step further and say, I don't know anyone right now who's saying, yo, I invested in the S&P 500 index. I have this amount of money, but obviously from data, from research, from surveys, and other anecdotes that I've been exposed to through Instagram, through other places that have been legitimate media. I'm not just saying someone who says it, but people interviewed at CSNBC and other researchers or just analysts in the market will talk about people who've been successful with it. So I still believe it's successful, but you're right to question me. Do you know anyone personally? And anecdotally right now, no. I know people who did. They did wait before they got married, but they're not married right now.
I was one of the people. But no, I want to say something to this narrative you brought up, this idea, this thought you brought up about somebody keeping you, triangulating you, somebody keeping you where they want you. I'm speaking to the ladies now because we got a clip that's going out selling like hotcakes on a TikTok where Tavia is saying it. Yo, when a man is ready to be in a relationship and they really want you, they're not pulling out any punches. They're not pulling any punches. You know, we're natural go-getters for the things that we want. So, ladies, if you feel like you've been lingering in this holding pattern of a situationship too long, just know that if you're questioning whether it's more, that's your answer. Your question is your answer. Like a man who's really ready to step up to the plate, be that leader, you know, contribute and pour into you in a way that, in a healthy way that, you know, a man is trying to show you that he wants you, wants to build with you. He's going to do that. He's going to think of thoughtful ways to let you know you're special to him. He's going to be thoughtful in the ways he wants to show up for you. He's going to be asking questions to really gain intel. You know, guys are hunters, bro. We study our prey, man. So he's going to be asking questions like, oh, let me see what kind of coffee she take in the morning. This is her favorite brand of sneaker or athletic wear. Let me just buy her a couple of joints for when she's going. It's like, son, we're going to start doing that. Yeah. It's intel for us.
Absolutely.
And so ladies, again, do not allow yourselves to get stuck in this trap. And if you feel like a dude is breadcrumbing you, which is just giving you enough to keep you around, stay around and do nothing, and see how long he keeps you around. That's some free game.
Very good point. Very good point. You know, I know we're running up on time here.
No, let's keep it going. Let's just keep it cooking. The pot is simmering right now. You hear that pot roast? You hear that pot roast just in the crock pot?
You said the cornbread's in the oven.
Right, it's on low right now. We got the aluminum foil over it. It's you know what I'm saying?
The game's on. People getting ready to get served. They're ready.
Man, let's just keep it cooking.
Well, one of the things I just love what you just said right there. Stick around and do nothing and see how he responds. Wow, I think that couldn't have been said any better or any more eloquent. Good advice for a lot of women. And I say that because ultimately many of the situationships, again, speaking anecdotally, I've heard the women complaining about the situationships in the long run more so than the men. Now, I have heard men complaining, but more women complaining about it because some women see that as a departure point to relationships, to commitment, to being together. In their mind, I've given you the sex and the sex is helping. The sex is the grease that's moving the cogs of the machine forward. For men, the sex is the machine.
And the grease. And the cogs. I mean, obviously, we're saying this tongue in cheek, but it is very important for us. And I think this is one of those double standards or just differences that really needs to be acknowledged in how men and women interact with each other. Obviously, for a lot of dudes, the sex and the physical intimacy is how they express and feel love. So if you say to a man, you want a relationship with them that's devoid of that, then it's not going to compute.
No.
The computers ain't puting with that one.
I keep the computers puting.
Shout out to Cam.
Killer Cam.
But I think there has to be some balance brought to that, right? From the woman. Like, yo, if we are going to be in something, just as on some self-respect shit, if we're going to be in something that involves me giving you my body, I need to feel safe enough with, like, these things need to be in place. I don't think it's wrong for a woman to say, you know, I mean, don't go crazy with it to be like, you got to pay for all the bills or whatnot. Even if that's your thing, I feel like that's a lot. But, you know, have some standard about who you lay down with. I think you should have some standard about who you lay down with. Good dick is not a reason to get dick.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say even a standard of public, thinking from a public health perspective of safe sex. Condoms have seemed to go on the way of the dodo bird. Extinct.
Falling by the wayside.
Yeah, you ain't seen no stegosaurus walking by like, whew, these trains. The summer, what a killer. It's so humid outside. I get to a plant real soon. Oh, God, a T-Rex. They're not. You don't see stegosaurus doing that. And apparently you don't see people reaching for the condoms anymore as well. That action is gone. And my advice to people, if you're engaging in physical intimacy, please
be safe.
Be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe.
Can't stress that enough.
I can't stress it enough.
I mean, that's using protection and being tested regularly.
Thank you. Say it again. Using protection and being tested regularly.
Right.
How much your paperwork? You know how they say in the streets?
In the prisons?
If you are a snitch... Oh, you're not okay. Obviously, let me see your paperwork. Yeah, I forgot they do that in prison. They'll have guys show their paperwork, right?
Yeah. You ain't here talking about you went for a murder. Let me see your paperwork. Yeah, you ain't for this little petty armed robbery.
Yeah. So let me, you have to show people that you're being tested and that you're using condoms. Please be safe out there. Some people use condoms for oral sex and dental dams for oral sex. Do it all. Be safe. Because I'm hearing crazy stories. People on one night stands being unprotected. I'm like, how? You ain't James Bond.
Yo, son, we live in the era of YOLO.
Not
unfortunately,
like
son, you're safe and you're lucky. Let me just say that to you.
Let's keep it real. Now we're going somewhere.
It's very nice of you to be able to say that from your ivory tower of long-term relationship.
Thank you.
It's very nice to be able to say that.
Let's keep it 100.
I'm just talking about in general. This is the culture we're in with the proliferation of hookup culture over these last couple of decades. It's also been met with this reality TV type dynamic in the world and society. And a lot of that is fueled by YOLO. People have this idea that life is short and it can be shorter.
And more painful. Or long
if you miss it. Yeah, absolutely. Yo, that's another. It can be long and painful if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. So I agree with you that people shouldn't be living like that, but we're in that age. People idolize life. They idolize being alive and being able to do stuff before they die. They idolize this time in this body. Mm-hmm. Yo, I can't miss out on an opportunity. And son, there's a little bit of that in my psyche. I would rather regret something I did than something I didn't do.
Yeah, some people say I'd rather beg for forgiveness than ask for ask for permission, right?
But
that makes sense.
But that is a way of life and a mindset, obviously, that can have some very dire consequences.
I like what you said, though. Idolizing.
Yeah.
It's a term typically not associated, verb that's not associated with life. But oftentimes in certain religious circles, people would call that idolatry. Mm-hmm. They've made an idol out of being alive in life. And I don't think that you really can do that because I believe life is sacred. I don't call life short. I say life is precious. You have to respect the fragility of life. It has some places where it's strong and durable, some places where it's fragile. Respect it all. With that being said, I do think people, like you've mentioned, look at it as I'd rather experience life than to be deprived of the experiences of life. And they're completely all right with that. Whatever that means. And if that means like a race car sometimes go up against the wall and I'm just focusing on driving and not the wall. And if I hit the wall and speed up, crash out, then I hit the wall and crash out.
So
I'm
okay
with that. Mm-hmm. So be it. And I'll deal with the aftermath later. But as far as I was concerned, I was going for gold. I was going for first place. I was going for that checkered flag to hit, pictures, the whole nine, sponsorships, everything. And that's a great way to live. Maybe I'm leaning more towards, to keep using my favorite term this whole podcast, tried and true methods. Other people don't see it like that. They're more, personalities are driven by the excitement of risk and adventure that is even untethered from, it's really untethered from these notions of safety, because it's really not fun until I know I've broken the tether of safety. That doesn't mean I want to die either.
Right. But like you said, they want that adventure.
I want that adventure.
My grandmother used to say you can learn by experience or by explanation.
Yeah. I prefer explanation. And some people say, no, I want experience.
Bro, you prefer some experience too. It's all about balance.
That was set up. That was set up in a certain dynamic, right? It was either or. So I'm saying if I had to choose either or in that context, I would choose explanation over experience. If it had to be, you have to choose.
One. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But experience, yeah, everyone in reality though, it's a mixture of both. Some people do go to the ends, but you know me better, so you know I do prefer experience. But I think explanation is a wonderful teacher. Learning from someone else's experiences. Great teachers. I don't need to be in the pit to know what the pit feels like. Some people, and this is not to knock anyone, call it negative, because some people are kinesthetic learners. They have to be
they
in
have
the
to
pit.
be in it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not to demonize anyone. We have to have respect for learning styles. Most of these truisms and aphorisms do not take into consideration the realities of people learning styles, how their brains are wired, and even how their sensory system, right, their nervous system is wired, or their constitution. It just goes to, this is what it should be. And if you want to get rich like this person, if you want to have great sex like this person, if you want to have a life like this person, if you want to move like this person, either do it this way or you don't. Now, obviously, I subscribe to that on some level, because I do believe in models and models of care, models of work, models of intimacy, models of getting rich and investing, models, me and you work on our business together, this podcast. So I do subscribe to that model, but I have to respect the fact that there's different ways that different people process life, and it's absolutely okay.
Word. Before we end, I want to go back to something you said. Because I think it's super relevant to this conversation about situationships. I also hear more women express issues, complaints to the management about situationships.
I love that, to management. Exactly.
About
situationships.
And like I was saying earlier, I have to address it in two different ways, because for most men, or for a lot of men, situationships are ideal. My God, how many of us would love to be able to participate in a woman's orgasm without the demand of commitment? Keeping it 100, a lot of dudes, a lot of men would really love that situation. To the women, I would say, because y'all have to be informed hunters as well, predators as well. Knowing that your prey can think that way, you got to be diligent about, number one, the time that you invest and give to a situation or a person, and you have to keep it honest with yourself about what the situation is. Don't just go by, I want it to be this, so I'm assuming that every move that we make is leading us toward that. Ask questions, get clarity. Clarity is kindness. When somebody knows where they stand with you, even if it's not where they want to be, there's no love loss. And if things do go awry, they'll probably respect you more. Y'all don't have to walk away angry or as enemies because there was clarity there. So there's nothing like that false hope hangover, bro. There's nothing like being in something that you think is going somewhere, and somebody might be unconsciously doing all of the things that reinforce that in your mind, but they don't know that. And you thinking it's heading in this relationship or heading in this direction, and a year goes by and it's still in the same place. And now you're looking at them like they're the problem. When one, you never asked questions and got clarity. And two, you never really told them where you wanted things to go. So it's really hard for me to just give any kind of, prescriptive advice or POV about this concept of situationships. But I would just say to the women who it seems like more of y'all have issues with it over time, what we said earlier, the choice is yours. You can get with this or you can get with that. Exercise your right to choose and choose wisely. And I would say for dudes, even though it might be an ideal situation, I think there's going to come a time in life when you have to think about, is this what's best for me right now? Because you can't be in 12 situationships and you haven't scratched the surface with your potential for whatever your skill in life is. You ain't got time to be dealing with Betty and Becky and Letitia and all of these girls and Sharonda and Sharice. You ain't got time to be dealing with all of them if you're not learning anything new or improving yourself, or you know, like I said, stretching the
Evolving.
limits of your potential when it comes to whatever your calling is in life. So while it might be ideal, it can't be forever.
Absolutely. And on that note, thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, take care.